Jets, Buccaneers. Jets going on the road for the first time this season to Tampa. Tampa hosting a game for the first time this season. So this is their home opener. Tampa is 2-0. The Jets are 0-2. And Justin Fields will not play in this game. It was announced just before we went live on this show that Tyrod Taylor will be starting for the New York Jets. How does that change things? Does it change things at all? What are you talking about? What's the game script here, Dalton?
I'll start actually on the Bucs offensive side, and you go, okay, now with Tyrod Taylor, and what you have now is a situation with the Bucs where you probably felt like you had to win this game anyway, but you really have to win this game with Tyrod Taylor starting and the Jets struggling as bad on offense as they did last week. So I think when you look at the Bucs offense, you talk about this offensive tackle situation. It's been a theme that Baker Mayfield's had to work through bad pass protection. Graham Barton playing left tackle, usually their center, 36.4 pass blocking grade. Charlie Heck, he had to fill in at right tackle the other day. Now Luke Gedeke is going to be out for a few weeks, 29.4 pass blocking grade so far. I look at this game, obviously if the Jets are going to win, they're going to win a very low-scoring game. If there are two guys that I think have something of an advantage here for the Jets, and I think it's similar to the way it was against the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple weeks ago, it's their defensive ends, Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. I think both have played well so far. Will McDonald with a 73 pass rush grade, Jermaine Johnson with a 69.9. He looks good coming off the Achilles so far. If there's anything that gives the Jets any hope in this game, it's their pass rush with those two guys on the edge, and even Quinnen Williams, obviously, on the inside is still very good. So, it's going to have to be low scoring if the Jets want to stay in it. I think the way this changes things for Tyrod Taylor, and he's still a good athlete at his age, but he's not Justin Fields, it's going to look like a more traditional offense, right? Obviously, they're going to hand it off and want to run those zone run schemes with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. There's not going to be as much read option. Taylor, maybe you hope that he can get rid of the football on time, but the Jets are also very short on receiving options beyond Garrett Wilson. Jets going to have to win a defensive game, and they're going to have to win the battle up front with their defensive line.
Yeah, I think an interesting part of this game is sort of the way that the Jets are set up on offense. You mentioned it there at the tail end of sort of what you were talking about, that the Jets don't really have anybody outside of Garrett Wilson. So Garrett Wilson's got 15 targets so far this season. The next highest target getter is Breece Hall with 4. I mean, it's just Garrett Wilson. It's quite literally just Garrett Wilson. Mason Taylor's got 3. Jeremy Ruckert has 3. And then when you finally get to the next wide receiver, it's Tyler Johnson with 3. It's Josh Reynolds with 3. And then it's Arian Smith with 2. So there's just not much of a passing offense outside of Garrett Wilson, which brings up an interesting matchup with the Buccaneers, who have faced 2 pretty good wide receiver ones over the last 2 weeks. They faced Drake London in week 1, and they faced Nico Collins in week 2. Looking at Drake London in week 1, he got 15 targets and 8 catches, but only 55 yards and no touchdowns. So they were able to handle, as a group, they were able to handle Drake London decently well. You fast forward to the next week, Nico Collins, 9 targets, 3 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown, but one of those was that very long play, that very long touchdown pass. You take that away, I mean, they shut down Nico Collins. Now, I know there's a lot of things that go into that, blocking, sort of what CJ Stroud is seeing, the play designs overall. But through 2 weeks, to have both of those guys, Drake London and Nico Collins, have less than 60 yards receiving, that shows me that the Buccaneers are doing a pretty good job of taking away whatever the top option is in the passing game, especially with that many targets for those players, and then not having a very high catch percentage on those targets with both of them. So if they're able to key in on Garrett Wilson, I don't know where they throw the football, because they certainly haven't thrown it to anybody other than Garrett Wilson so far this season. So that, I think, is something to look out for of how well the Bucs have played against wide receiver ones. And then on the flip side, Dalton, the Jets have Sauce Gardner, right? And Sauce is probably going to be matched up against Mike Evans for a good portion of this game. Mike Evans looks great. I know he hasn't had that crazy breakout game yet, but he looks fluid. He looks strong. He looks fast, explosive. He looks motivated, focused, all those kinds of things. Mike looks good to start this season, even though the numbers aren't as explosive as maybe they have been in years past. He looks good. You're going to get a lot of him versus Sauce Gardner in this game, which then leaves, okay, we talked about how the Bucs have covered wide receiver ones. How have the Jets covered wide receiver 2s? So mainly I'm looking at Brandon Stevens and Michael Carter. And with both of those guys, Stevens 56.1 coverage grade, Carter 53.5 coverage grade. I mean, like, these guys have not been good. They're going up against Emeka Egbuka, who's coming off back-to-back fantastic games as a rookie, with back-to-back games where he has scored a touchdown and been a pivotal part of Tampa winning this game. So that is really what I'm looking forward to seeing is, do the Bucs continue to clamp down on wide receiver ones in Garrett Wilson? Because if they do, I don't think the Jets have anything else that they can go to. And then how well do the Jets play against the Buccaneers wide receiver two in Emeka Egbuka? I think those are the matchups to watch for. Ultimately, I think the Bucs should win big. And another reason why I think the Bucs should win big is because you looked at their offensive tackles and you highlighted the issues that they have with Graham Barton at left tackle and then Charlie Heck over at right tackle. They sort of adjusted things, and Baker got the ball out of his hands extremely quickly during that game. They had the fifth highest, or the fifth lowest, I should say, time to throw last week, and you could tell that Josh Grisher, the offensive coordinator, was mitigating the offensive tackle issues with how quickly he was getting the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands. They showed against a really good edge rush duo that plan worked against Houston, because they were able to go in there and get the win, and certainly that last drive was able to do it, and it was great to see them be able to do that. Well, again, if you're a Houston Texans fan, it wasn't great to see that, but just from an overall offensive execution standpoint, and certainly from the Bucs standpoint, it was great to see them be able to mitigate those offensive line issues. But I just don't see the Jets being able to compete. I have the Bucs winning this game 30-13. I think this is going to be a blowout here.
I think they can compete for a bit on defense. You mentioned, again, the Jets do have star power. The D-line is good. The two linebackers are good. You do have Sauce Gardner. I think eventually they just can't score enough. I have it 21-13 Tampa Bay, and I think, again, Baker Mayfield, when push comes to shove, he's going to will his team to a win when it matters most. He's going to find a way on third down to pick it up, whether it's with his arm or with his legs. He makes so many big plays now running the ball as well. But, yeah, Tyrod Taylor and just the struggle of this Jets offense, it's going to be tough down there in Tampa. 21-13 Bucs.